It's Friday. It's 4 o'clock. Short fuse. Little bit of sunshine and everyone goes mad, don't they? For God's sakes, don't need that. Can you believe that? Saw a bloke today wearing shorts and nothing else. Even Robert was tempted to bring in his sandals. It's 17 degrees, and yet he didn't, thankfully. Do hope you are ready for your bank holiday weekend. Shout out to Johnny this week. Oi, oi, Jonas. He is, what's he doing? Skateboarding in where? Nice. Oh yeah, skateboarding in Nice. Didn't take his girlfriend, went with a bunch of sweaty blokes. What does that say about Johnny? And a shout out to Kanye West. Whoa, whoa. Kanye West, eh? Been making a bit of noise, hasn't he? Oh, Kanye. With his Trump hats and his slavery comments. So I think Kanye's probably a little been in the sun a bit too much anyway. But shout out to him. We have a busy show ahead of the bank holiday weekend, which is going to be nice. So this is something that we're all very happy about. Right, let's start with some great news. We have secured, and it's brilliant to know, Claire Perry, the Minister for Energy. She'll be coming to Open Energy Live Expo on the 31st of October, so Halloween night. Come along to that event. We'll be putting out the all the details of what we've got planned for that event in the next coming days and weeks, but you can register now already if you're an energy end user. Claire has been Minister of State since 2017, and obviously we've interviewed a few times, as you've seen by the footage, and we're really looking forward to her addressing. She's the headline speaker for the event. We'll be announcing more speakers in the coming weeks and months, but get in right now, register and make sure that you're attending on the 31st of October. Right, on to the news. Today is the day after yesterday, which was local election day in England. It was quite an interesting one. Yes, Labour won some seats, then they lost some seats. Tories won some seats, they lost some seats. And for once, the Lib Dems won some seats, incredibly, in Richmond. But the story that I want to pick up on is a Labour story that was released earlier in the week. 2.3 billion quid to help homeowners with their energy bills. So what they're trying to say is that this isn't money, you know, Labour have always been about the whole kind of, you know, regulating the energy industry. We've had, first of all, Miliband with his idea of the price cap, which is now, ironically, the Tories are putting through, and then our comrade, literally our comrade Corbyn, who believes everything should be rationalised. So let's put that aside, but they've had an interest, to be fair to them, on the whole side of energy for a while. And what they announced earlier in this week was an idea to invest £2.3 billion on home efficiency measures for the poorest. So we're looking at things like insulation in particular, helping them with energy saving, boilers, that sort of stuff. The idea is that they'd invest around about 270 quid's worth of savings per household. Yeah, so that what they've worked out their figures, it's 2.3 billion, and they reckon that would save £1 billion across 4 million homes. So, you know, that's not a bad thing at all. Who would argue against that? They want to try and get everyone who's living in terrible drafty homes, particularly the poor, the fuel poor, into a Category C band home for efficiency. I think this is a very good idea. I think it's if it can be done, it's brilliant. As ever with Labour, my question is, where's the 2.3 billion coming from? Now, there's been this thing called ECO, which has been around for a long time, which is a sort of compulsion on the energy companies to help the fuel poor. I don't know whether that's what they're going to do to try and make the companies pay a bit more. But if you look at it as a headline, it's a good headline, and it definitely is something worth doing, because in this country, instead of us trying to find cheaper forms of energy, what we should be doing is making our homes much more efficient. You know, I can't talk. My place is absolutely terrible. It's a Victorian place. leaky as hell. I've done all the things I can. I've put in, a double glazing. You try and put some draft excluders, but at the end of the day, that's a house from 1880. So what it needs is proper insulation. And for a lot of houses like my one, you can't do that. There isn't the technology. But for many flats from the 50s and sort of, late 30s onwards, you can do that. And this is, I think, a really good idea to get those people with the most important thing, insulation, so that their bills come down. Right, moving on, we're talking about, funny enough, renewable energy. So RECI is a renewable sort of energy index. It's called the Renewable Energy Country Attractiveness Index, to give it its full name. It's produced by EY, consultancy firm, and we've gone up. We have gone up to 7th in the latest report. Now that's 3 places. We used to be, when we first started ELN, I think we were in the top sort of 3 or 4, and then we went down for quite a while. The reason we've gone up is because of the subsidy-free solar. So what's happened is solar has sort of really grown. You've seen a massive increase in it. And that's really because of the market, which is really what everyone wanted. Initially, if you may remember, way back when, there were things called feed-in tariffs, and they were paid for by government to try and encourage the take-up of solar. Well, it seems that's worked because they've been out of the picture for a while, and solar has increased. Also the investment in onshore wind has gone up. So that has helped. And also the interesting thing EY says is that we are, get this, ahead of the curve on blockchain technologies for energy. So blockchain for trading, blockchain for kind of community energy schemes. And we've run a couple of stories about that this week as well. So all of those things have helped us to sort of rise up the ladder. So we are now 7th in the world. And then finally in this section, this is really an interesting one. So M&S are trialling out liquid nitrogen refrigeration units. Now, it's all about liquid air. Now, this is something we filmed about 6 years ago, something like that. So this is frozen air technology, which means that what you do is you use air as a form of energy storage. You take air, you freeze it, you turn it into a liquid. That liquid has a mass, and then you either use it in a mechanical way or you evaporate it, turn it back into a gas, and it turns a turbine, and off you go, you get energy. So Deerman is a company that's behind this, who we saw their plant, which I think you're seeing the pictures of right now. And what they've done is M&S have teamed up with them to help with the kind of refrigeration lorries you see on the streets. Now, we're right here behind Sainsbury's, so we get these lorries coming down, and what happens is they park up, and of course what they have to do is keep their diesel engines on. They've got 2 types of engines, normally these lorries, we found this out. Obviously they've got the big one, but they also have a smaller diesel engine just for the refrigeration unit. So what this trial is going to do is use liquid nitrogen gas instead of that secondary small diesel unit to cool down the food products. It's a trial that M&S have just started. Sainsbury's actually did one a couple of years ago, and if it works, M&S are looking at a rollout. Potentially, these could cut emissions by 95%. So it's an example of new technology that, as we saw 5, 6, 7 years ago, was just kind of being tested, now coming into the market. ELN always at the forefront. There you go. More stories later with Pri, but now on to this week's Viewpoint. So this is quite interesting. Now, if you look at it, one of the things that we've always covered is why be energy efficient? What's the business case for it? Because at the end of the day, we can sort of harp on about all the kind of energy crap. Oh, it's good, let's save the planet, let's save the whales and dolphins. But as we know, what people care about is it going to help their business? So, looking at it all, what the real problem is, I'm just checking something. Is my sound coming out all right? Because this is not like, but it's not. It's fine. It's on another thing. Ignore me. Centrica, and you would think this is obvious, Centrica Business Solutions has done a survey. Now, you could say, oh, this is an energy company talking about why energy efficiency matters. Anyway, they did a survey of 1,000 companies, and what they found is that firms with an energy strategy are twice as likely to be ahead of their rivals. Just take that in. Twice as likely. Now, it's a small survey, but it's still interesting. What are we talking about? We're talking about people who've put in an energy strategy. It can be as simple as replacing the bulbs in your place. Yeah, it can be insulation, it could be CHP, it could be loads of these variety of things. Anyway, what they found, 41% who've done these measures have reduced their energy costs. 35% have better visibility of their business. What does that mean? They know what's happening in their business because, as we know, energy is a major cost for everyone. So they're now looking at it and seeing what's happening across that. And this, I think, is the most interesting thing of all. A quarter of them have seen reputational benefit. Reputational benefit, i.e. translating that from sort of corporate speak, other people like your business if you're doing this. And that is a really big thing. But looking at it all, this is funny because obviously that figure, the 41%, sounds great. But 48, nearly half of them, still have not got energy efficiency measures. So there you go, a staggering figure. Half of the businesses they surveyed don't have any efficiency measures. The ones that do, 41%, had reduced their bills. As they say, no shit Sherlock. This really is one of those things that proves if you go for a complete energy strategy where you look at your business, and of course it's difficult for small businesses. We're a small business, we're in a rented offices and we rely on what the landlord's going to do. But we put some pressure on them. We've added LED lights here for the office and we're trying to get more efficient heaters and things like that. It's typical when you're very, very small business. But for larger businesses who own their places or have the financial power, it's clear that if you put in this strategy, this shows you get a benefit. And the best benefit for any business is on the top line. And that's what this is doing. I think this shows you that really, if you look at the way the energy sector is moving, this will be the biggest change over the next few years. Not about buying energy cheaper, but by using it better and being more efficient. What do you think? Let me know. Drop us a line, use the hashtags and all of that. And now it's time for the Hack Hutch. Is she here? She's live.
Hello. Yes.
Do you want me to hold this?
Yeah, I think it's better because I can move my hands.
Yes, you can move your hands. How are you? Looking very summery.
Yes.
Ready for the weather? You got barbecue going on. I don't know what Robert's doing. He's fiddling with loads of weird things. Can't keep moving.
Distracting us.
Should we just move left and right? Can you hear us out there? Fredo, can people hear us? We hope so. Excellent. That's lovely. Right, come on then.
Okay. Yeah. So looking forward to a barbecue tomorrow. Hopefully
What are you cooking?
the sun's going to be out. Pork, chicken, burgers.
No fish.
Halloumi. No fish.
You don't have fish, do you?
No, not on a barbecue. I don't.
Why not? Grilled prawns on the barbie? That sort of stuff?
I'd rather have mine with loads of sauce.
Are you right? Have you fiddled with that? Is this the
I don't know
static?
what Robert is up to today.
Do you know what? Is it better if I just unclip this and give it that? Yeah, go on, all right. We'll
so
dump
that's
that. We'll dump that. This is proper live TV.
This is what happens when it's live.
Okay, go on then.
Yeah. Okay. So first
Talk
up.
to me. Talk to me.
Can you hear me, Robert?
to me.
Yeah, I
Talk
don't
to
know
me.
what Sumit's doing. Just ignore him. So first up, we've got a story, which is our top story at the moment, about the diesel emissions scandal. So the former head of Volkswagen
Whoa.
has been charged over the scandal. So Martin Winterkorn, it's been alleged that he knew about the cheating emissions scandal in May 2014 and in July 2015. He's been also accused of wire fraud in connection with this.
Blimey, he's been a busy CEO, hasn't he? See, it always stops with the boss.
So allegedly.
Allegedly.
And
done.
Volkswagen previously pleaded guilty as well, and it recalled about 11 million cars worldwide.
That's right, yeah.
But I think we had a report from the EAC that said there's still a lot of vehicles that needs to be processed and...
But he's now, for the first time, they always say that corporate people get away with things. Here we got someone actually being held to account.
Yeah, and the Department of Justice in the US has said they're going to go at it in full force. So we'll have to wait and see.
We'll wait and see.
Next up, it's about, for householders, good news. I think I mentioned this in the Periscope, so apologies if you watched me then. So householders can reclaim £1.3 billion from suppliers for energy that they paid for but haven't used over the winter.
That's good.
So yeah, that's good news. So that means about 2 in 5 homes can reclaim about £121 each. And 1 in 10 homes can reclaim over £200. So that's a lot of money, a lot of barbecues for the summer.
Obsessed with barbecues.
A majority have said that they've said that a majority of people have had to chase for their suppliers to automatically refund the money.
Yes, I've had that myself.
So you've been
in the past. Yeah, so I had because if you pay by direct debit, as you well know. How does it work?
You can get the money back automatically, so you don't have to tell suppliers to, this is how much you owe me. So the money should basically be in your bank.
Should be.
Without you having to chase for it.
But you pay a lot for it over the summer when you're not using it, so you're in credit. So suddenly if you change, that's what happens.
Yeah. So what this research found was that people, the reason for the high credit is because suppliers have been estimating bills rather than getting the metered readings. And that's also partly due to householders failing to give the meter readings.
Yeah.
But Energy UK, the trade body, said that companies are trying to smooth the direct debit payments, and it actually helps if householders give their meter readings to ensure accurate bills.
No, you've got to do your bit as well, so you've got to give them the reading.
So it's a balance between both.
But it's a good story. That's good, yes.
And finally, I thought this was quite interesting from the MIT. Research has found that the cost of implementing the International Climate Pledge in China...
In China,
will offset the benefits to air quality and human health. So the money you're going to be investing in implementing the policy to meet the International Climate Pledge in China will more than cover... due to what's going to happen in terms of air pollution leading to better healthy people, so you don't have as much costs.
I see. Okay, I see what they're doing. They're working out the cost, or the ancillary cost of this pollution is things like people going in for scans and treatment. Okay, and that's what they've said.
So they've said fewer deaths from air pollution could lead to savings of a staggering £339 billion.
Have you written that right?
In 2030, yes. I
think 339 billion?
Yes, in 2030.
Dollars or pounds?
That's dollars. That's dollars.
Wow.
I'm so used to saying pounds. So,
of course.
And that's 4 times the cost of China actually meeting the international pledges.
Wow.
So that means the climate policy can more than pay for itself, which I thought was quite interesting.
Excellent. Anything else interesting going on?
That's all for now, but if you do have any interesting stories for us to run, you can send it over to stories@energylivenews.com.
Excellent.
And enjoy the sunshine and your barbecues.
So of course, it's always about the barbecue. Just obsessed with barbecues, I don't know why. Anyway, we've got a special guest here today. Yeah, a musician. How's it going, Pave? Pave is giving it large. Hasn't quite hit the heights, but follow. No comment from Pave. Look, it's full of all of that, but not now. Right, so there you go. Right now, thank you very much, Pri. Let's talk about, obviously I've said to you already that we've got a great speaker opening Expo, which is our energy minister, but we've also got a great speaker opening Energy Live Future, which is rapidly approaching. It's only just over a month away. That is Bas Lansdorp, the CEO of Mars One, and here's his invitation to you.
Hello, I'm Bas Lansdorp. I'm CEO and co-founder of Mars One. I'll be speaking at Energy Live Future in June in London, and I hope you will be there. I'll be speaking about Mars, about why we should go there, how we will go there, about how we will get energy on Mars. It's going to be an exciting event. Join us.
If you're a regular watcher, you'll have probably know that invitation off by heart. But in all seriousness, do come along. I think we're about, how many registrations are we at now, Freddie? More than 150 odd, isn't it? Something like that. So we've still got room for about another 50 or 60 people. So if you're an energy end user, sign up, get in touch with Freddie, go on the website and we will get your place. We've been sending out emails and invitations. Don't forget, it's an invite-only event. It'll be taking place on the 7th of June, and we will be discussing not just what's happening in Mars, we'll be looking at the whole situation of suppliers. You'll see a video on our website from the Managing Director of British Gas, our headline sponsor, Gab Barbaro, who'll be talking about where he thinks the supply situation and this transition we're going through, where we're trying to do more with less and we're using energy storage. That'll be a big part of it. We've got some really, really interesting stuff going on in our laboratory. We've got some top universities coming along, and we've just managed to secure some incredible cars. Well, Freddie tells me they're incredible for the EV Highway, our version of a terrible version of Top Gear, but we've got some really interesting commercial vehicles. So these aren't things that you're just going to be driving. It's not just about Teslas. It's about EVs and low emission vehicles that can make a difference to your business. So if you're an end user, register now. And if you look at the diary, that's the main thing. So 7th of June, that's coming up. On the 28th of June, we have Telca, the award-winning Telca, the best awards in the country, and that's taking place at the Honourable Artillery Company. You can go and get your tickets if you haven't done so already. And of course, the shortlist will come out in about 2 weeks' time, something like that, 2 or 3 weeks' time. And then, as I said at the top of the show, 31st of October, it is Expo, which will be taking place in Westminster. So get those dates in your diary. Right, any shout-outs at all?
Yep.
Yes.
Kevin.
From Kevin Corcoran.
It's quite a long question, sir.
It's a long question, all right. Shall we sit down? Shall I actually sit down for this one?
2 questions. First,
Yes.
the Luxor Skybeam in Las Vegas is...
Lots of what?
The Luxor...
The Luxor, yeah.
Skybeam in Las Vegas
Yeah.
is a 42.3 billion candela tunnel of light.
Yes.
The strongest in the world.
Yes.
39 lamps are each 7,000 watt
Yes.
and cost £40 an hour to run.
He's just, if you can't quite hear what's Preach saying, he's just talking drivel about a lamp in a hotel in Vegas. What is the question, Kevin?
The question is, will you be covering this in September, and will ELN pay for my tickets?
Do you know? I'd like to give him a little something. I haven't got the message. Yes, Kevin, that's a really interesting question. When it comes to the unit of light, which I think is called a candela, it's how bright a light is, that is amazing. But I don't think it's quite enough to justify an expenses paid trip for you. Remember, you owe me money for your ticket. Anything else?
Next question.
Question number 2.
This bank holiday,
yes.
See villages across the UK mark the beginning of springtime fertility.
Springtime fertility
Will
taking
you be
place.
dancing around your maypole again, and handkerchiefs, bell pads and sticks? Handkerchiefs, bell pads.
Will I be dancing around my maypole? Well, you'll be with me on Sunday, so we can dance together, hand in hand, and make sure we've moved on. Don't bring a handkerchief, bring some tissues. Anything else?
That's all.
Anyone else out there?
Nope.
God, that's poor. Not even Vicky Ellis. Where the hell are you, Ellis? Right, before we go, and finally this week, and this is cracking, the Arctic Ice Runner. Oh, yes. So this is a French lady called Anne Cremer. I would assume that's how you say it. And she's basically going to do what's called the Northwest Passage. Careful, Kevin. A passage that is 3,000 kilometres long, basically goes from the high point of the Canadian Arctic, from the Pacific to the Atlantic. And she's going to do it in a solar-powered boat. Well, it doesn't really look like a boat. It looks like a little dinghy to me. It's like 20 foot long. Incredible. I mean, she's got some guts, this woman. So she's basically going to go, and I've been to the Arctic, as my son will attest, 12 years ago. It wasn't pleasant. The temperatures down there are absolutely ridiculous, because you might think it's minus 20, minus 30, but you get wind chill, you get storming, and it's really, really nightmarish. So she has got some serious guts to do this, particularly in a solar-powered boat. Now, I assume that even if there are loads of clouds, it'll still work because it gets some light. But I wouldn't want to be stuck trying to get across the the Arctic, the Arctic Ocean at that time of year with this. So good luck to her. An interesting one. That's it for this week's show. Have a fantastic bank holiday. Next week we are back on Friday. Yes, we are. So look after yourselves. Have a good time. Do a barbecue like Pri says. It's always good. But put a bit of a shrimp on it. Take care. See you soon.